Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let's admit people.
How many people have we got?
Two.
Ah.
So far.
Oh, and Nelly, a familiar name.
Connecting. Okay, I'll start the connector video and then we can start the program.
Okay.
So 1
Thank you for attending this Connect Together event.
doing the same thing for me.
Thank you for attending this Connect Together event. During this event, we have automatic closed captioning available. Please go to the bottom of the Zoom meeting, click Live Transcript, and then Show Subtitles to turn them on. Before we begin, we'd like to take a quick moment to let you know how you can join an opinion research panel made specifically for British Columbians living with disabilities.
For 25 years, the Disability Foundation has been fostering meaningful experiences for Canadians with disabilities through outdoor recreation, social connectedness, innovative adaptive devices, and more. Today we are asking, how has the pandemic affected you? Help strengthen decision makers' understanding of your needs and experiences by joining an online opinion research panel consisting solely of people with disabilities and their caregivers. Make a difference in your community today. The Disability Foundation. Reimagine what is possible.
Did you know? Young adults with disabilities have a harder time getting hired. Break down barriers by sharing your story. Take our survey.
Okay, David, you can start.
Okay. All right. Okay, let me just share my screen here. Okay. Okay. Hope everybody can see my screen. Thanks for joining us today. I'm David Ostro, and we're going to talk today about our BC Mobility Opportunities Society, and in particular the Trailrider, which, as I hope some of you know, is an adaptive device that we've created. We've been using it now for over 25 years for our adaptive hiking program. And basically, it's BCMOS in general was started in 1985, founded by Sam Sullivan, as an organization dedicated to exploring accessible recreation, and in particular outdoor recreation, although we have now during COVID been doing some indoor things like adaptive yoga and fitness sessions through Zoom. But the core of our program is basically the various outdoor recreation opportunities that we've explored, and we currently have 3 that are really fundamental to our program: adaptive hiking using the Trailrider, as well as our adaptive paddling program, which we started in 2016. and has two types of activity. We have adapted kayaks and also an adapted paddleboard. And you can see pictures of them there. And in addition, we've recently started a pilot project with the GF Strong Rehab Center, where we're also offering adaptive cycling out at Pacific Spirit Park. All of our programs are based, or sorry, our hiking program is based at Pacific Spirit Park, and as well as our cycling. And the paddling program takes place at the Creekside, just outside the Creekside Community Center, where the paddling center is there, just near Science World. So yeah, so basically BCMOS, well, was founded by Sam. He had, of course, suffered a spinal cord injury and went through his rehab and was living in social housing, and decided that he wanted to be more active and do things, and that if he couldn't walk, he was going to explore all the other things that he could do. And the first thing that came to his mind and led him to create his first nonprofit in 1985 was he decided he wanted to fly. And so in fact, BCMOS's original name was the Disabled Ultralighters of Vancouver Society. Oops, there we go. Just, why isn't the slide changing here? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, so before BCMOS, the actual name for about 3 years was Disabled Ultralighters of Vancouver. And unfortunately, there was a couple of mishaps, and Sam and a few others that were participating with him decided it was probably better to try things that were a little less challenging. And so they decided that, you know, exploring the opportunities for mobility on the ground might be a better place to start. And so what they did was they talked with the city, and they got a program going out at Pacific Spirit Park, based on some motorized devices like the one you see here, which was actually created both an adult and, in this case, a children's version. And so people were able to ride around Pacific Spirit Park, and these were electric vehicles. Even back in the late 80s and early 90s, they were environmentally friendly, but at the same time still, you know, motorized, and had their limitations because, of course, you know, as you can see, they were fairly large and three-wheeled, and so couldn't necessarily access every trail. And so at one point, Sam wanted to go on a real hike. And so he talked to, well, as he did whenever he had some need or wanted to pursue something more independently, Sam called on a volunteer from the Tetra Society. As many of you know, one of our other charities that we operate is Tetra. And so Sam told this volunteer, a fellow named Paul Chermak, who was actually the first Tetra volunteer, he said to Paul that he wanted to go hiking. And they were out at dinner together. And so Sam said, well, I've got an idea. And he actually drew this sketch on a napkin at the restaurant for Paul, which, as you can see, bears quite a resemblance to how the trail riders are look today. And so Sam said, well, I'd like to go for a hike next week. And so Paul, being the ingenious and get things done kind of guy that he was, he went and he took a look at what he had available in his garage and his basement, and he built the first Trailrider out of a lawn chair, as you can see, and a wheelbarrow wheel and some metal tubing, and Sam was able to go on that first hike like a week after that dinner. And so after this terrific experience, which Sam really loved, the one thing they concluded, though, there was some enhancements that could make the device even a little bit easier to use and more comfortable for everybody. So they went about proceeding to design and build the first, let's say, real Trailrider. And there's a picture of it there. This would be roughly the mid-1990s. And so Sam proceeded to, of course, secure some funding to build a few more and to start our adaptive hiking program. And in terms of now being able to, explore the trails and beautiful areas all around the Lower Mainland, it was really an advancement. And of course, in addition to just the getting out in the woods, the fact that it needed two people to power the Trailrider, etc., created a team atmosphere and a real feeling of inclusiveness and connection when you're out there, exploring the woods and the forests. And so the Trailrider really became, something that people began to take to and see the benefits of. And so in particular, it started attracting attention from other communities in other parts of Canada and the world. And so we continued to improve the Trailrider and to redesign it to make it more robust and be able to stand up to, the heavy use that it would get in a program. And so it was redesigned a few times over the years, enhanced with things like a brake, which basically, we incorporated a brake from what you would find on a mountain bike. And so it makes it much easier to go down slopes and not, take nearly as much exertion to, keep it from rolling down the hill. So it's really gone through a lot of refinement and improvements. And in fact, we even went through a complete exercise a number of years ago to design it as ergonomically and as effectively as we could for use. And that project resulted in the Trailrider that we use today, which we affectionately refer to as the Black Diamond model. It's not an official name. It's just because the model previous to it was green, we decided that since this one's black, it's actually more of a charcoal gray. But anyway, we thought Black Diamond was an appropriate name, and of course gave the impression that it can handle the most expert, the most extreme terrain, which of course it can. The Trailrider is really designed to be able to go just about anywhere. The single wheel, of course, makes it very versatile and able to travel narrow trails, and makes it easier to get over uneven terrain, rocks and roots, and where you're on a side slope. Now the rider doesn't have to be, tilted over. They can actually adjust, with the Trailrider on the one wheel. Of course, the rider can remain, upright, regardless of what's going on, underneath them. So it becomes a really, safe and secure and comfortable experience for people. They are putting their trust in the people powering the Trailrider, what we affectionately refer to as Sherpas, but it's really a wonderful experience for everybody, and gives the opportunity to collaborate and just talk about, as you're going down the trail, what you're seeing, and deciding on routes and what destinations you're going to explore and things like that. And so it's really been a source of lots of wonderful experiences for people. We of course base our program and start people out initially at our hiking center at Pacific Spirit Park, which is out near UBC. And we have, as you see, our facility there where we store the Trailriders and is the base for our hikes. And so we of course are very fortunate to have been, to have had a presence at Pacific Spirit Park now for roughly 30 years. And because of course it's actually a wonderful location in itself to explore. It's got a huge number of trails. It's a huge park. It's actually larger than Stanley Park, and has, I believe, something in the range of 73 kilometers of trails. So it can really provide a good variety of experiences, and gives a nice, easy introduction for a lot of Trailrider users. They get their first experience in the Trailrider, just navigating some of the gentle trails that lead out from the hiking center. And so what we do is, of course, we take either people go individually or in small groups, because we have, of course, a number of trail riders there. And so when we have people who book all at the same time slot, we can go out in groups and have a really nice, community type of experience. And of course, in addition to the riders in the Trailrider, we have, of course, the people who are pushing and pulling the Trailrider, and also sometimes friends and family and other folks who are just in the neighborhood tag along. Some, of course, bring their dogs and that kind of thing. But yeah, it makes the hiking experience very, very inclusive and a really fun experience for everybody. So yeah. And so yeah, we've got a few pictures. In addition, sometimes people will come as a group of friends or family, come out to Pacific Spirit, and if they've either get a little introduction to using the Trailrider from the staff, or if they've had experience using it before, they're of course welcome to take the Trailrider out for themselves and explore whatever destinations and parts of the park that they might be interested in. And as well, as I mentioned, we of course have hikes that are led by our staff and volunteers. In addition, we sometimes engage park rangers. In this case, this young woman who's a ranger with Metro Vancouver Parks came along on a hike and offered some some guided explanations of the plants and animals and things that are found along the way. And of course, it makes for a very interesting experience, and people get to learn a little bit more about nature and our environment, and yeah, makes for a little bit of a learning experience during the hike. In addition, in normal years, we've had to restrict our activities, of course, over the last couple of years, as so many have. In normal years, some of the very popular things that we also do is we offer location hikes all around the Lower Mainland, and we take some trail riders out to the trailheads of some parks, and of course, the participants will meet us at the trailhead, and we'll do a hike on some of the very popular hiking trails around Vancouver. One of the pictures there you see is in Stanley Park, for example, obviously a very, very popular destination. Also, of course, many beautiful trails and destinations on the North Shore. As you can see on the upper right there, the Lynn Canyon Suspension Bridge is one that's very, very popular. It's quite an exciting experience. And of course, the Trailrider, being as narrow as it is, it makes it possible to go across the Lynn Canyon Suspension Bridge, where you're about, I think, 50 meters over the floor of the valley and over above the rushing river. So quite an exciting time. People, groups go on picnics and things, and just take excursions out to various places, whether it's Golden Ears, Burns Bog. There's a couple of destinations in West Vancouver that are quite popular. And while I don't think we'll be starting up location hikes this year again, of course, one of the ways to do a location hike is to rent a Trailrider, in which case then a family or a group of friends are free to take the Trailrider and explore any hike that they're interested in. And much like our program hikes, we only charge $10 to rent a Trailrider, so people can really explore just about any place they'd like. The one location hike that we will continue to do, that we have done the last 2 years and will continue to do this year, is our Spanish Banks hike. And the reason that it's possible to do is that, well, it can be reached by starting at Pacific Spirit at our hiking center. So you do a little hike through the woods, and then you come out just up above the beach area there at Spanish Banks, and of course, if it's possible to be timed with low tide, then there's a chance to go right out there on the sand and kind of see some of the tidal life and such that you'd experience, when the tides are out. So that we will be doing that one a few times this year. So take a look at our hiking schedule if you're interested in taking part of that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to the picture. There's the picture of Spanish Banks. So yeah, it's really, like I say, quite a lot of fun. It's about a 3 to 4 hour outing in total. But yeah, everybody really seems to enjoy it. You often stop and have a picnic lunch sort of halfway through the trek. So yeah, down by the beach somewhere, a little picnic is always kind of fun. And then, but to show you some of the other kinds of location hikes that we do in normal times, I think I may have mentioned a few of these, but here's some shots so you can visualize them. Lighthouse Park in West Vancouver is very popular. Gives beautiful views. As I mentioned before, the Lynn Canyon Suspension Bridge is one that yeah, we get quite a few requests again in normal years to do that one. And it also includes a nice hike up and down Lynn Valley a little bit. So yeah, it can be a really nice day there. Bunsen Lake, up near Mission, it's also quite popular, beautiful, fairly gentle hike. Great for larger groups because when the terrain is fairly level, makes it easier to stay together and communicate and stop for little points of interest and that kind of thing. Garibaldi Lake is quite a challenging hike. This was actually done by this group of friends. They took the Trailrider, and some of you may recognize our program manager Eric in the Trailrider there. That was actually I think about 10 to 12 hours it took. So that's quite a challenging outing. Not necessarily for everybody. You definitely want a little bit of experience in the Trailrider and be sure that you're comfortable being in it for a long period of time before you. And then, of course, having Sherpas who are fit and able to to undertake that kind of a excursion. It takes a little planning and preparation. Yeah. Now, one of the other things we've done, and in part, sort of help prepare us for some of the more extreme adventures that have been undertaken in trail riders, was an event that we used to run called Access Challenge. And what it was a 3-day hike, 3 days and 2 nights in the backcountry. It was run in a number of different destinations over the years. I think the first year was done in Manning Provincial Park and was done there a couple of years, and then a couple of times up in Garibaldi Provincial Park and Tetrahedron Provincial Park. So our staff would scout and find new locations every year or two to have this excursion, which was completed by 6 teams of hikers. So basically 6 trail riders, and so six riders and 24 Sherpas would go off for, like I said, 3 days and 2 nights, and do this amazing backcountry excursion. Of course, sleeping in tents at night and encountering all kinds of challenging terrain and things. Here's some pictures. Of course, the first year in Manning, it was the weather was not ideal. As you can see, the rain gear was in full force that year. We got a little luckier in subsequent years. Here's a picture, for example, from Garibaldi Park in 2002, and with Black Tusk in the background was quite a special excursion. And in fact, that year and the following year, where we also hiked through Garibaldi, the kind of the finish line of the Access Challenge was crossing the Chickamus River in a zip line. So we, with the help from North Shore Search and Rescue, they rigged up zip lines across the Chickamus River, and each hiker had their trail rider attached to the zip line and zoomed across the river, as you can see Sam there doing it back in 2003. And so, yeah, quite an exciting way to finish off their 3 days. In 2006, we held the Access Challenge in Tetrahedron Provincial Park up on the Sunshine Coast. And that was really the last time where we did a full-on 3-day event like that. I mean, took a huge amount of planning and preparation, and I mean, by all accounts, was wonderful experiences for everybody. And who knows if maybe it's something we might explore again in the future. Now, one of the other things that grew out of Access Challenge, because one of the things that we would do is we would invite people from other parts of Canada and other parts of the world to come and take part in Access Challenge. And one of the things that led to was a greater awareness of the trail rider across the country and around the world, and led us to, of course, building up our social venture that sells the trail riders to individuals and organizations that want to offer adaptive hiking in their communities, or make an area that they have there more accessible. And so what's happened there is that the trail rider's been now taken and used in some really spectacular and exotic locations. Now, in some cases, people have borrowed a trail rider from us and gone off to places like Machu Picchu, or reached the base camp of Mount Everest and things like that. And as I say, in other cases, people or organizations have bought a trail rider and made it available, in their locations. So yeah. Now, one of the first and most interesting destinations where the trail rider was taken was Mount Kilimanjaro. And this fellow Jim Molina from North Vancouver borrowed a trail rider and got to the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro in 2001. In fact, that became a fairly popular destination. It was again accomplished by a young fellow named Brock Metcalf in 2006. Brock, who was a young man, he was 19 years old at the time, with quite severe cerebral palsy. He was part of an excursion. Actually, it was a group of people from North Vancouver that went and summited Kilimanjaro. Most of the members of the group had non-physical disabilities. There were people with developmental and cognitive disabilities, but Brock went along as well. And after training and practicing in North Van for several months before heading to Africa, he took part in and made it to within, I believe, about 100 meters of the summit. So basically up to about 19,000 feet, at which point he was feeling the effects of the altitude and couldn't push on to that last 100 meters or so, but still just an unbelievable accomplishment. Let's see, this fellow, Juan Botero from Spain, he was able to summit Kilimanjaro in 2011. He's actually quite the adventurer. Juan has taken his trail rider to a number of places, including, I think I mentioned Machu Picchu. He's one of several people that I know of that have taken the trail rider there. Other fascinating destinations, a former actually a board member and longtime participant with BCMOS, Brad Jacobson and a group of friends did the West Coast Trail and actually filmed a documentary. And they did produce a trailer at the time. This excursion they did over a couple of years, and there's a wonderful 10-minute video of their excursion on YouTube if anybody's interested. It's called the Standing Spirit Project, and just some absolutely beautiful footage, including one spot where they where they took a break and went for a swim, and under this really cool waterfall. And yeah, just as I say, an amazing expedition. I mean, I don't know how many of you know the West Coast Trail, but it is a very, very challenging hike. It runs sort of up the spine of the west coast of Vancouver Island, and is very extreme, has lots of ladders and you know, things to cross, and in fact, even you know, experienced hikers are required to submit a hiking plan and a emergency plan, and you know, you got to be really prepared. And in fact, several groups wind up having to be rescued off the West Coast Trail every year, and but the folks from Standing Spirit made it through unscathed. So yeah, it was truly a you know, by all accounts, and as you'd see if you checked out that video, just an unbelievable experience. There's Brad looking out at the Pacific Ocean as the sun is setting one day. So yeah, some of the other places with the Trailrider, I mentioned Everest Base Camp. Linda McGowan from here in Vancouver, she took a Trailrider over and made it actually even, I believe, 1,000 feet or two above base camp of Everest. And just unbelievable. Or I believe around the same time, maybe a year earlier, this woman, Pippa Blake from Victoria, also she bought a Trailrider and later donated it to a program in Victoria where she lives. And she and her two sons went to Nepal and also made it to the base camp of Everest. And let's see. So yeah, so basically, I guess as you can see from all this evidence, the trail riders are really getting around. As you can see, by somebody modified this sign here in Alberta up near Jasper. And I don't know if they were referring to a trail rider moving fast by them or just having some fun. But anyway, one of our members took this picture, and I always get a kick out of it. It's kind of fun to see. So yeah, and so. As I mentioned, one of the ways that trail riders get around is thanks to the social venture that we created called Kawak Access Equipment. It's a social enterprise that was started by BCMOS, and any profits from the sale of trail riders goes to help support our hiking programs here in the Vancouver area. And so we make it possible for people to buy or rent trail riders, and can be done right there, on our website, as you can see. And in fact, one of the things you'll also find there is a list of all the places around the world where there's trail riders available, different organizations that make them available for use in their areas. And in fact, one of the most popular places that is an absolute hotbed of trail riders is Australia. And part of that, they have been working with Kawak now for, I would say about 10 years to acquire trail riders, basically for all of the national parks in Australia. They've got trail riders, I believe, now in about 30 parks, and they've created an absolutely phenomenal program to make it possible for local residents to borrow the trail riders. They've got park rangers who can instruct people on how to use the trail rider, give them demonstrations, and of course, take their money and give them their trail rider, and they've got a full series of or a handful of videos to show people how to use it. They've created trail ratings of, as you can see here, where they talk about the number of trail rider operators that you would need. So, for example, if a trail has some steep sections, they recommend 3 or sometimes even 4 Sherpas, as opposed to if something's very gentle and level, then they say, oh, this is a 2-rider. Or a 2-operator trail kind of thing. And so they've incorporated this, and they've got signage on the trails themselves that show the like how many operators are needed and the directions and things like that. So they've got all these trail maps showing where you can take your trail rider and what to expect. It's really a phenomenal setup and really encouraging, and one that I'm very much hoping we can accomplish here in Canada. I've actually been talking with Parks Canada for well, a year or two now, and in fact they're running a test this year in a national park in Saskatchewan to see how it'll be possible to incorporate adaptive equipment into their parks to make hiking and the parks more accessible. Yeah, and just getting back to Australia for a second, the driving force behind this amazing accomplishment is a result of this fellow David Stratton, who you see there in the Trailrider. David actually lived in Vancouver for a number of years, and he was originally from Australia, and he returned to Australia and at one point contracted multiple sclerosis. And he came back to Vancouver for a visit, and at that point he was using a wheelchair, but very much wanted to be able to enjoy some of Vancouver's beautiful nature, and so he discovered the Trailrider when he was here on his trip, and went for a hike with the Trailrider here in Vancouver, and said, "Oh, we've got to have these in Australia." And so when he got back there, he caught the ear of the director of accessibility for the Parks Department, and they proceeded to acquire Trailriders gradually. The first, I think they ordered 2 at first for one park, and just gradually added it and incorporated it into the services of the Parks Department there. Really a phenomenal accomplishment. So unfortunately, David passed away a few years ago, but his legacy really lives on there in Australia. So it's a really tremendous story. Thought I'd take a few minute, or let's say 1 minute break from talking here and show you a brief video about
hike with Sam yesterday too? Yeah. A little bit more. How you doing, Eric? Good. All right.
Got a feeling and I'm gonna feel it out. You got me shaking up and moving around. From the birches to the blacktop, we want it all, we want it all. Give me all of it. Don't stop, don't quit. No, not a little bit. Give me all of it. Don't stop, don't quit.
Yeah, so I guess you saw the huge smiles on people's faces as they got to that gorgeous view at Quarry Rock. Some of you may be familiar with that hike. It's quite a beautiful one. It's quite a challenging one for the Trailrider, largely because it's got a lot of stairs. So of course, with every stair, the Trailrider is going to be lifted, but either up or down. So it was a challenging hike. I don't know if any of you noticed, but I was actually on that hike, and it was a lot of fun, and a lot of fun also filming it and making it available for people to see what an amazing experience that an adaptive hike like that can be. I mean, it's really, and that's of course one of the wonderful things about the program. I guess some of you have heard it in my voice here over the last half hour. It's really a bonding experience, and one that's wonderful to share with people and to come together and in particular for the riders to go to places where they wouldn't have thought they'd be able to get to. It's really a wonderful feeling. So yeah, hiking can be tremendous. It's people share you know, a love of the outdoors by getting out there together. There's of course the wonderful feeling that you get for you know, reaching a new destination and experiencing something new and having this new adventure. You know, of course, the connection with nature, whether it's seeing beautiful vistas and trees and smelling the woods, or in this case, you know, communing with some nature and seeing some animals that you might not expect to get close to too often. This was actually in Alberta. Yeah, it can really be wonderful. Of course, you know, our hikers make new friendships, and we often get, you know, situations where hikers and Sherpas, you know, people who volunteer with us to do the powering of the trail riders, you know, make these connections and friendships, and often, you know, wind up going on hikes together many times over the years. So it's really kind of special. You know, of course, whether part of our program hikes or if families want to rent a trail rider and go off on their own, they're, you know, of course, very welcome to do that, and gives them the opportunity to, you know, have family outings like that together. Of course, for children, you know, getting out and experiencing nature and, you know, and just, you know, seeing the kinds of things and getting to those kinds of places can be a wonderful experience and really raise kids, you know, spirits and change their perspectives, you know, get them away from screens and things a little bit is a wonderful thing. Yeah, so basically pretty much everybody has a good time, it seems. So including this furry friend there. Yeah, it's really you know, an opportunity to enjoy some special times and connect, you know, which is a tremendous thing. And as you can see, anybody can come along. We got a friendly little fellow here, took a little rest on the trail rider. And in fact, we've even had some celebrities come along. There was one where Rick Mercer joined Sam on a hike for an episode of his show some years ago. Don't know if any of you saw that particular episode, but it was, as everything Rick Mercer does, had a good bit of fun to it. So yeah, so I guess really I'll leave you, you know, with the message that, you know, nature is really for everybody, and accessing it is possible. In our cases, we relied on the trail rider for a large part of it, but really it's you know, it's just a question of opening it up in whatever way suits people the best. And so the trick is to get out there, because you know, the feeling, as it says, can really last a lifetime and can be with you, you know, and just becomes really something that, you know, gets in your blood, and once you experience it, you want to keep going back. And we certainly know now from the science and the research how, you know, health and wellness can really be enhanced by being in nature and breathing in the clean air and the you know, the sights and the sounds and the smells of the forest can really be healing. So yeah, I encourage everybody to do that, and you know, there's several ways to try a trail rider. You know, book a hike with us at some point out from Pacific Spirit this summer. Any time of year, folks can rent a trail rider and head off wherever they like. And also, if anybody's here from an area outside of Vancouver, you know, if you think it's something that is needed where you live, I encourage you to reach out to us and think about acquiring a trail rider for your community, your organization, or hiking club. I mean, they can all benefit from being, you know, a little more inclusive and offering the opportunity for people who otherwise wouldn't be able to, you know, go off on these hikes to take part. So really a wonderful thing. And just to close off today, just thought I'd also mention, of course, the various activities that BCMOS offers here in Vancouver. In addition to our hiking program, we've got paddling, both kayaking and paddleboarding, which happens down in Falls Creek at the Creekside, just outside the Creekside Community Center. And also we've got hand cycles and recumbent bikes at our hiking center at Pacific Spirit Park. So basically our summer season will open this year on May 25th, and bookings will be opening up in just over a month. May 9th, we'll begin taking bookings for hikings and paddlings and cyclings. So yeah, encourage everybody to give it a try if you get a chance. It'd be wonderful to see you, and I'm sure you have a wonderful time. So thanks everybody for listening. I will open things up if anybody's got any questions now, and yeah, be happy to talk a little bit more about the Trailrider. Here, I'll just turn off my screen sharing so I can see you all. And yeah, thanks everybody for listening.
I have a question.
Yes, Nellie.
Hi, David. My daughter, Sydney, she has very, very poor trunk control.
Mm-hmm.
And when she's on the Trailrider, there doesn't seem to be enough side supports for her. Is there anything that could be inserted into the trunk rider to address this for her?
Well, we do have something. I know Sydney's like she's not a child anymore, but
No.
I'm wondering if she's still fairly lightweight. One of the things, we do have a child insert for the Trailrider, which we use now. We encourage people, if a child is like under 5 feet tall or under 80 pounds, is when we encourage its use, because what it does is it's kind of like a booster seat basically. And one of the things that it has is it has side baffles, which again, for a small child, it keeps them from sliding side to side. So I'm wondering if maybe we could try it with Sydney the next time she wants to go on a hike.
She's about 5 feet,
Yeah.
but she's about 100 pounds. And you're saying it's about for someone about 80 pounds.
Well, normally we encourage it for somebody under 80 pounds, again, just to, to provide more stability. But I'm thinking, because I know Sydney, she's not she's not large, she's fairly slender. So I'm thinking maybe the child insert, because it's got side baffles, it would prevent a little bit of slipping side to side.
Yes, that's something that she would need, is some trunk control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that might be the thing. If you come out for a hike this year, one of the things you could do is just ask the hiking staff if before Sydney gets transferred into the Trailrider, if they can connect the child insert, and then you can transfer her in and see if it's comfortable. The only other options I can think of is things like some foam pads and things that could be kind of wedged in to provide some lateral support. That's also an option. And also the staff out at Pacific Spirit always have foam of that type for that purpose. So
are those seats at the Pacific Spirit Park where the Trailriders are stored?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Now, she has been on the Trailriders before, and we've put cushions beside her, but they weren't, strong enough to, have her move, to be more stable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And she's going to try disabled sailing again, but again, she needs something like an insert. Would that insert be suitable for the sailboats or not?
No, you wouldn't be able to attach it to the seat in a Martin 16. It's designed specifically with straps to attach to the support bars of the Trailrider. So
I see.
It's specific for it. It's really just a mesh. I don't even know how to describe it. don't think I have a picture of it I could show you. Oh, I do have a diagram though. Might be able to.
That's okay.
Yeah.
When she goes to the Pacific Spirit Park, you know, we'll try it with, you know, that insert into that trail rider.
Yeah, just ask the hiking staff if she could try the child insert, and they can you know, attach it up, and then, you know, she can sit in it, and if it seems to, you know, provide the kind of support that you're looking for, then yeah, you can give it a shot.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. And you know how hot it was last summer? You know, the Pacific Spirit Park, the trail down to Spanish Park is pretty shaded, isn't it?
Most of it, as you get, but of course, as you get out to the beach, obviously, then that's where the shade ends. Yeah, it's yeah. If you're wanting to be in shade all the time, it's better to stay in the park, because, you know, there's lots of trails within the park that are, you know, completely shaded all the time. So that's always best if one of the goals is to stay cool on a really hot day.
We live in Burnaby and used to have some trail riders around Burnaby Lake. Oh, yeah. Would that be an option this year or not?
Well, we may have offered location hikes out that way in past years, but again, this year I believe we're gonna keep the location hikes on hold, and just hike at Pacific Spirit this summer again.
Okay, and it's my understanding that the sign up is at the end of May?
May 9th. The bookings open May 9th.
Oh, May 9th. Okay, I'll make a note of that. Thanks, David.
My pleasure, Nellie. Nice to see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Great presentation, David.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
I'm one of the founding directors of Doves and also of BCMOS. So I've been around a few years, and like you said, you know, the trail rider is really empowered and given, you know, so many people, so many incredible, you know, experiences. It's just, you know, the money can't buy that kind of stuff, you know, and it's just incredible, you know, that, you know, BCMOS and the trail rider have given so many people, and, you know, just you know, enhanced their lives, and not only participants, but, you know, the family members and others as well. So I mean, it's really touched so many people's lives. So, yeah, great work.
Thank you. Well, I should say we probably are getting close to about 200 trail riders around the world now.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But we're getting there.
Hopefully one in Nasuya soon.
Exactly. Yes, Lena, sorry.
Yeah, I have a question. So you said you will start booking in May, right?
Yes.
And how do we know? How do you send us this information? Because this is my first time know this program. I didn't heard this before.
Okay. Do you know our website? All the bookings you can do by visiting our website at bcmos.org.
Okay, you do not send an email to us.
Well, if you are subscribed to our newsletter, then you would get a newsletter, or, you know, with that information. If you haven't subscribed, again, you can go to the website and sign up for the newsletter, and then you'll get all those announcements.
Oh, okay, I see. After I get so how do we book this? I just register online, right?
Yeah. I could show you if you like. It's on our website. There's a button that says book a hike, and you just click that.
Okay. So for this kind of activities, do we have to pay for it, or do we have to do any preparation for like some gears for the hiking, or?
Well, you wouldn't need any gear. We provide the trail rider, and the cost for a hike, as with most of our activities, is $10.
Oh, okay. It doesn't matter what kind of activity, they are all $10 each for each,
well,
right?
Most of them are hiking and paddling and sailing. All of those activities, we charge a very nominal $10. I mean, we would like to do it at no cost, but one of the things we've discovered is that if we don't charge at all, then people are much more inclined to cancel and not show up. And so this way, when we just charge the $10, at least we know people will call us if they're not going to come because they don't want to have to pay the $10. You know, so
I
that,
see. I see.
that's the primary reason for keeping, you know. But again, we keep it very, very low, the cost, so that, you know, that the cost is not a barrier to anybody.
Okay, so I just need to go to the BCMOS or MOSBC.com, right?
BCMOS.org.
DCMOS.org. .org.
BCMOS. B as in
Okay.
Bob.
Okay, BC. Okay,
Yeah.
BCMOS.org. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Then everything is on the website, right?
Yeah, you should be able to find anything, and if not, you can, you know, always send an email, you know, at the info email to ask a question.
Okay, do we have to register for a membership in this website or not?
Well, you do become a member by taking part in the program. You become a member. Yes, that's right.
Okay, we have to register first register to be the member of this organization. Then we can take part in the activities, right?
Yeah, it sort of happens at the same time. When you take part in your first activity, one of the things you're filling out in the form is some membership information. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Pacific Spirit Park trail ride, is that about 3 hours, you said, down to Spanish Banks and back?
The Spanish Banks hike takes, I think, about 3 hours typically. Yeah. But of course, just hiking at Pacific Spirit, you can go for virtually any length of time. There's so many trails. You could, you know, I mean, you can go for a half an hour if you like, you know, just do a little loop near, you know, near the hiking center. You can, well, there's, as I say, there's about 70 kilometers of trails, so you could pretty much go as long as you're able.
Okay, so how does that affect the volunteers though? Say if you want to say, like, I have to tell my caregivers, like, if they can only do like an hour, say, would you just tell the volunteers that the $10 ride for Sydney will be an hour or an hour and a half? Is that okay?
Well, that would be important to coordinate with the hiking staff when you book your hike, to say, you, like, if you just want to go for a Pacific Spirit hike and you want to go out for an hour, let them know that, and they can either plan a trail accordingly, or if you want to pick the trail yourself, you can.
Okay.
And, yeah. So you're coming with Sydney, and you need the staff or some volunteers to be your Sherpas. Is that right?
Yes, we do need volunteers.
Yeah. So
and I don't think.
Yeah, just let them know, you know, sort of, like I say, what length of you know, excursion you wanted to go on, and and they can work it out.
Because sometimes I accompany her, and because I'm in my late 70s, I just find that I just can't, you know, do the hike myself with her.
Mm-hmm.
I need volunteers to assist.
Sure.
And also, this has nothing to do with the trail riders, but BCMOS, my husband and I planted these seedlings at the old Kerr dump. I don't know if you remember that. That must have been about at least 15 years ago. I just wondered if you ever visited that site and if those seedlings ever took. And they're little evergreen seedlings, and we must have planted at least 30 or 40 of them there.
Wow. And sorry, where is that, Nellie?
At the old Kerr Street dump, just off Marine Drive there.
Oh, I see. No, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah. So my husband and I said, gee, we should go and take a look at that site and see if how big those seedlings have grown now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Thanks, David.
Hi, David.
My pleasure. Hi, Debbie.
Hi. Sorry to interrupt. Did you see my message in the chat?
Oh, no, I haven't. I'm not a...
Just wanted to correct you. You said Bunsen Lake is in Mission.
Oh.
And it's not. It's in Nanmore, BC.
Oh, okay.
I'm in Port Moody. So it's just above me.
Okay. I knew it was out that way.
Yeah.
I remember.
It was a great. I'm really glad I watched it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Have you ever gone on a trail rider hike before?
No, I am a paraplegic, but I run on Facebook. I run a BC paraplegic and quadriplegic private group, and I'm always posting this stuff. So I have to learn this stuff before I post it, right? So it was very interesting. Yeah.
I'm very glad. That's terrific.
May try one day.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, we, you know, again, in normal years, you know, we do come out, you know, your way for some hikes. I know there's a few spots. I think I mentioned Golden Ears and Bunsen Lake. What's the other one out there? Is it Hayward Lake?
I'm not sure.
Well, yeah. Anyway, there's a few spots out there where we've gone. We've hiked Burns Bog over the years, and out in Surrey, Bear Creek, and all kinds of places. So there's lots of wonderful opportunities in this part of the world for that. We're really lucky.
Yes, really. Thank you.
My pleasure.
So the schedule, is it on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, David?
The hiking?
Yeah.
The hiking happens Wednesday through Sunday.
Oh, Wednesday through Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, 5 days a week. Paddling is 7 days a week. And sailing, I think, is 6. But that's another society, so don't quote me. I don't.
Do people lift you on these things like the Trailrider?
We do have a hoist available for those that you know, need help in transferring from their wheelchair into the Trailrider.
Oh, okay. Same with that thing that goes on the water. The what's that?
Yeah. Also with paddling. Yeah, we have hoists available for both. Yeah.
Oh, good. Just have to phone ahead of time and tell them that I need somebody to help me.
Well, yeah, I mean, you have to phone ahead to book the hike anyway, or a hike or a paddling session, and because they do fill up, so it's important to book in advance, and then at that time, as you're doing your booking, you would mention whatever your you know, needs are with regard to transfers, that kind of thing.
Good, thank you.
My pleasure.
David, I had one question.
Yes, guys.
For the pedaling, like, do you use your own wheelchair or do you transfer to a wheelchair?
No, the paddleboard, the adaptive paddleboard that we use has a proprietary wheelchair. So you would be transferred into it, and then that wheelchair gets rolled onto the board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
So you still need transferring.
Yeah, still do. But no, it's a challenge to transfer to the paddleboard because of the pontoons. It makes it, you know, the unit itself is quite wide, so so that's where we transfer people to the chair first, and then the chair gets rolled onto the board.
Right. Not just our own chairs then.
No, and then you wouldn't want it. Well, first of all, it couldn't handle a powered chair. That would be too heavy. And for a manual chair, you wouldn't want it, you know, getting affected by salt water either.
Right.
Of course, Falls Creek is still salt water.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did anybody else have any questions? I'm happy to stay another couple of minutes if you do, but if not, we can call it a day. And I encourage you to, you know, if you are looking for more information or want to book a hike, to, you know, visit our website and explore what's possible. And we will, like I say, have bookings. We'll begin accepting bookings on May the 9th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure, Debbie, and everybody. Hope you all have a nice rest of your day, and look forward to seeing you out on the trails.
Thanks, David.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.